This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Welcome, Alphas. Thanks for joining us. We have a return guest joining us today, Dan Kunze. After you finish today's episode, you can revisit episode 164. Dan is a leading voice in developing enterprise strategy and policy, enterprise technology, talent management, and policy efforts that support our future workforce and warfighting demands. He currently works in support of the Department of Defense involving enterprise software and digital transformation driving enterprise modernization. He also currently serves as an officer in the United States Army Reserve, is married to his high school sweetheart, Karen, and has 3 kids under 5. So
That's
he has got his hands full. And speaking of hands full, we'll soon be trick-or-treating and grabbing handfuls of our favorite sweet treats. And Adam's already started early.
Well,
he's got candy.
I love candy pumpkins, and I did just devour a bag recently. Trick or treat, we never really did trick or treating. The whole trunk or treating thing kind of emerged when we had kids, because of the whole safety thing of eating poisonous candy, from the unsuspecting.
Like razor blades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we kind of flushed all that out, but now we live in the country, so even if we went trick or treating, you could get like 3 pieces of candy. So I think the thing now is you drive to a neighborhood and you go and do it.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, I think most of the rural kids get dropped into a suburb somewhere for about, an hour.
Yeah, just drop them off. Dress them up at nighttime, bunch of sugar.
And then you follow them around on your phone on Life 360. That's pretty much.
Ew, creeper. Joe, you were so
I don't really do that, but my kids follow me. I go to get pizza and stuff, and they're like, we knew you'd be home. I'm like, how? These kids will stalk you. It's weird.
I mean, if you have kids, it kind of seems to me like trick-or-treating is probably the most dangerous thing that they could possibly do.
It's at night, and there are gaggles of people around, so just imagine how easy it is to snatch one of those little minions off the road.
It was safe back in the 60s or 70s, but now, so I don't know. The kids are excited.
Might literally be a minion these days. People are still dressing up as minions.
I'm so glad, Joe, you were paying attention and you got my reference. But no, it went right over Adam's head.
Did you trick or treat growing up?
Did I? Yeah, of course I did.
Oh,
but I had the costumes. It was like the plastic sheet. It smelled like plastic and a mask, with the elastic that goes around the back of the head.
Plastic 80s costumes.
I'm sure I have some sort of plastic poisoning from those, but thankfully my mom was also very creative and made a lot of our costumes as well. So innovative.
I felt bad because I looked like an adult when I was 12, so I pretty much stopped, but I would go around with my friends and mooch candy off of them.
I only want your Skittles.
The thing that's disturbing to me, and I get that parents want to celebrate their babies, especially if they're like 1 and 2, but don't come to my door holding your baby who's not even off of soft foods yet and say trick or treat. Like, get them dressed up, take some really cool Halloween photos, but don't pretend that candy is for your baby. It's for you. Just saying.
I don't know. Some of these
aggravates me.
Feeding that candy to your kid right out of the room.
Meanwhile,
I don't let them leave without feeding the baby the candy. I'm like, no, you put that candy in that baby's mouth right now, or you're not going anywhere.
Kids were
They're teething. Here, try this Jolly Rancher.
So addicted.
Just make sure they don't choke.
Here's a full-size Snickers.
Hey guys, don't forget that the American Legion has a number of references to like safe trick-or-treating points of view. So go to AmericanLegion.org and you can look up safely trick-or-treating with your kids. Or check out if there's as you said, a trunk or treating thing with your local Legion post.
Or just cut up some fruit and hand out fresh fruit. Be one of those weirdos.
My mom used to do popcorn balls. That shit wouldn't fly today.
Yeah.
No.
It's
Here's a potato. You'd get thrown through your window.
Used to love it, like, a popcorn ball, and they just like slam into it. This is the 80s, though.
Oh, there was always that one house. Like, go to that one house. They're giving the full size this year. What? No way, a king size.
There's always those ring cameras though of people like emptying the things out, and then there's always that one kid that like fills it back up with his own candy. Like you see like the best and worst of humanity
And in
during
between,
trick or
there's
treating.
the
It's
sad
always
kid
sweet.
that walks up and sees there's nothing and walks away.
Yeah.
All right, Alphas. Enough of the trick or treating. Please stick around. We'll be back with Dan Kunze right after the break.
What's up, Legionnaires and sports fans? This is Adam Marr, American Legion member and Army veteran. I am beyond excited that the American Legion is continuing their tradition of support for the Army-Navy game presented by USAA, the first veteran service organization to sponsor America's game in its 126-year history. That's right, the greatest rivalry in sports just got even more meaningful for veterans like us. We're honored to stand behind the incredible student athletes who are not only competing on the field, but are also committed to protecting the freedoms we hold dear. And through this sponsorship, we're shining a spotlight on our primary mission, Be the One, our fight to end veteran suicide. So mark your calendars, tune in to CBS on December 13th at 3 p.m. Eastern to watch Army take on Navy in this epic, timeless showdown. To learn more about the American Legion's involvement in our mission, visit legion.org/Army-Navy game. Let's cheer on our teams, support our mission, and show the world what it means to be a Legionnaire. Go Army, beat Navy, hooah!
All right, Alphas, today we are joined by Dan Kunze, who is a leading voice in developing enterprise strategy and policy, enterprise technology, talent management, of which he sees none here.
Absolutely not.
And policy efforts to
That's
support.
all talent. How do you get the volume to work?
And policy efforts that support our future workforce and warfighting demands. He currently works in support of the Department of Defense involving enterprise software and digital transformation, driving enterprise modernization. Dan, welcome to Tango Alpha Lima.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
Thanks, man.
Dan, it's a real pleasure to have you here. You got quite a robust background, but 9/11, and then you raise your right hand and enlist, kind of a unique path. Kind of take us back. How did it kind of start? And take us kind of on a little bit of the journey of the early days.
The hardest part about my bio is actually reading it and thinking it's like serious. Like what is enterprise? Blah 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 blah. I don't even know what that means. So most of the
What does
time
it say on your business card?
Yeah,
Let me ask that, because if you put all that, you've got two
I'm
business
just some
cards.
guy. But to thank you for the start of that. But 9/11 happens. I was in high school. I was 15 years old. I was in a history class, Mr. Wilson's 10th grade history class. And I just that was like one of my defining early memories is like, as I'm sure most of you all had remember, because we're all right around the same time period. And I because I was 15, I couldn't just join the military. So then I went to college, and then I went to law school. When I was in law school, we were still fighting wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and I hated law school. I was like, this is not the path for me. I was 2 years into it. And so December 28th of 2010, I decided to go enlist in the Pennsylvania National Guard. I also didn't know what the Pennsylvania National Guard was, nor what the Army Reserves were. So I kind of didn't even know, I didn't realize what they had become or what they were. I thought, and I didn't even totally realize everything. To be very brutally honest with you, I joined because they had the student loan repayment program. And so it helped me pay back my law school. I didn't realize that it was going to become the best decision I ever made for a whole lot of other reasons. But I joined for a very practical reason. I hated law school. I needed to figure a way out, and they paid back my school.
That seems reasonable to me, Dan.
When you're 24 and drowning in student loan debt, it feels really
Heck
reasonable.
yeah. I mean, I told both my husband's kids, I'm like, hey, you got student debt. Just do 4 or 6 years, you'll be good. Plus, you'll be doing, things.
Yeah, I tell my kids, I'm not really I'm not super eager to stay for your college because, first of all, if you're smart, you can figure out how to pay for it yourself, which is what I did. And two, ROTC is a beautiful opportunity for you to get out of bed in the morning and go work out. Because I know you're not going to do a lot of work at school. You're either going to party or you're
Yeah.
it is what it is. So
I would like to clarify that Stacy has one husband, not two, because it sounded like she said both my husband's kids.
I I actually might have very well said that, but now you just outed me as what do they call it, polygamist? So there we
Yeah.
go, Joe. My secret's out. Damn.
Now we know.
Anyway.
Yeah, so that's why
Typical horse girl.
Adam, that's why I joined them. That's why I joined the army. I can go a lot deeper, but I'm going to keep this at a casual, like, that's why I did a conversation. But practically, that's why I joined. And that's why I joined the National Guard.
What were those early experiences that kind of shaped you, like once you got in? And I was kind of similar to you, right? Because September 11th was my senior year of high school, and I ended up getting an ROTC scholarship because it was like the nation was moving in that direction. But my mom was also like, you have to get a college degree, you know? It's like that was the
Dude,
measure.
your mom and my mom must have been comparing notes, because one of the reasons why I kept going to college and law school is because, like, my mom's like, yeah, if you don't do it now, you're never going to do it. And so, like, I just kept on going. I actually ended up graduating from law school. But yeah, I hear you.
So as you're in kind of finishing your school, and then what was your kind of military career like the rest of your time in?
I was so privileged. I was so unbelievably privileged. Like, it was just an awesome experience, because so when I graduated when I finished basic, so I went to actual basic training at Fort Sill. I didn't know that there was officer versions of it where you didn't have to necessarily do everything the same as everybody else did. So I went to Fort Sill, Oklahoma basic training with a bunch of 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. I was a little bit older, and I hated them all, very much so. It's like, I can't believe people are making me do push-ups again. And it was really hot in Oklahoma in July. But I think for the first time I started understanding and trusting a little bit of the bureaucratic process. Like, why do we do the things that we do? Like, this seems ridiculous to me. Why am I doing push-ups because somebody else got in trouble, or somebody else was being a knucklehead or whatever? And then I also started to get to know the people I was at basic training with, and I wrote an article about this a little while ago. Like, I went to basic training with Ellington from South Carolina and Burks from Illinois, Vasquez from Louisiana, and they came from all these different backgrounds and all these different places.
Wait, this feels like Forrest Gump, where he's labeling off all of his teammates, and it's like texts from Ohio.
I can literally, you want me to like roster the all 52 of them? I'll go through it right now with you. There's 52 Rodriguez's.
She doesn't believe you. Prove it.
There's 52 Rodriguez's. No, it was just a great experience. I came home, and then I started going to officer school in Pennsylvania Guard. At the same time, I had a corporate job doing enterprise software and enterprise technology work. So I did 18 months of Pennsylvania officer candidate school that then got federal recognition. I didn't know that these were all opportunities to serve or get a commission. And then I went from there to Fort Benning for armor school when they moved. I was the second class after, the third class after they moved it from Knox down to Benning. So each of those places has been awesome for me. I do have a bit of imposter syndrome because I was never deployed. I suffer from that issue. Like, that's a thing that I feel like I didn't do enough. But I can't, at this point, the older version of me I can't do anything about the fact that they changed my orders or they stopped doing things. I can't do anything about it, but I volunteered to serve. So there you go.
Well, I appreciate your service, and I get what you're saying. I think a lot of veterans tend to do that to themselves, is my service is lessened, and that's not true at all. So every bit counts, whether you deployed or not. I appreciate that.
I did 12 years. I did 12 years between all three components in the Army.
Yeah. And
I got to do some really cool stuff. Like, I feel really grateful for what I got to do. Like, there was a Pope mission in Pennsylvania. So when the former
Did you say Pope as in P-O-P?
P-O-P, Pope. The Pope. The Pope was in Philadelphia, so we provided Pope protection. Like, there's cool stuff like that. Like, I got to go hang out and watch the Pope Mobile for a couple of hours. Like, it was pretty cool.
That's pretty tight.
Yeah.
And that was when you were an officer, as an armor officer?
Yeah. That's when I was an armor officer. And then I did stuff at Fort Drum, and I did stuff at Fort Campbell, Fort Dix, Fort Anton Gap. We went down to North Carolina. So I got to do a bunch of work. And then at the same time, my civilian career, because I got to do both, overlapped in DOD. So I got to do all this DOD enterprise work and all this Army soldier work, and I kind of marry them up, which is really cool.
What was the enterprise work? Can you dive into that for a minute?
Yeah. So there's a funny comment. Once you see how the enterprise works, it's really hard to go back to the operations.
Okay.
So most of the time when you serve, you only kind of operate somebody else's machine, somebody else's machinery.
Mm-hmm.
You don't actually get to see how the machinery or the sausage is made. When you start to see how the machinery works, right? How you start to see the palm cycle, and you start to see the way we budget, the way we budget over time, the way we think about manpower and readiness and all the other components to it. That's when I started getting really involved. Like, if I'm going to fix the problems that I saw when I was operating the Army, let's go get to the enterprise, actually fix how the enterprise operates. And so I transitioned as my career evolved to more senior roles to, like, I want to do the enterprise level work. And the biggest enterprise in the DoD is the Army. And the largest two enterprises in the world are the Army and DLA from a logistics perspective. So if you can create some level of efficiency or some level of, like, this stuff actually works there, which it very rarely does, like, that's how you actually impact the enterprise. And so it was funny. I would hear, on a weekend, or I would hear during one of my ATs, or I'd hear some of my other friends bitching about, like, hey, we can't get this level of equipment, or we can't get this, whatever. I'm like, I know the depot at DLA that you can't get that from. So, like, next week I'm going to go on my civilian side and, like, go fix that. So it's kind of cool to be able to do both.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
And Stacey, like, my favorite thing to say is, like, it's really hard to know the problems in the motor pool if you're not in the motor pool. Like, it's
Yeah.
really hard. Like, you can't, like, it's really hard. And I really don't like leaders that just, like, fly drones from 20,000 feet above a motor pool. Like, you got to get into the motor pool to actually know what's happening there. And so, like, the ability to have served in uniform and then to work at the enterprise, I feel really comfortable in a motor pool, and I feel really comfortable at a budget meeting, because I've done kind of both of them at this point. So I think that's the cool part of it.
And we need people like that.
I think that goes without
totally
saying
agree.
with anything anyone does, is you can't talk about something unless you're down in the
Well,
weeds.
the problem with the problem with MBAs, like, the problem with the formal education is they think they can get all that information out of spreadsheets.
Right.
They think they can, like, analytics that, like, information. I think sometimes we forget that we're solving human problems. Humans are solving human problems. And I'm just kind of ranting about my personal opinion about this at this point, but, like, we lived that way for a while. But I think Elon Musk and some of these other people are really starting to change the way we think about leadership. Like, that man is technically superior to almost everybody, or he hires people that are technically superior, and he knows how each of his systems work. And he gets down real low into the details of that, right? And then he's able to extract back up again. But if you don't know how your thing works, I don't know how you fix it. Like, if you're running a business or running a military, like, I don't know how you fix it if you don't know how it works in the first place.
It's interesting. So are you still working with the enterprise level? You said your military career is pretty much wrapped up, but you're still with the enterprise part?
Dude, I've been trying to figure out a way to finish my last 8 years. Like, I've been trying to figure out a way to do that. And
Okay.
then every time that somebody in the military asks me for my last 3 OERs and some other nonsense that I have to send over just to finish out how to get my 20 years on, I'm like, this is why I left in the first place, because, like, this is just a waste of my time. But I always will stay in my civilian side, somehow aligned to public-private partnership. And, like, because not only that, but, like, I believe in national security, the national security mission. And I think, like, the way my brain works in big systems, like, the biggest system in the world is how do we secure and protect our country. Like, it's the biggest system in the world. And so I really like working at that scale too.
Well, when did you find time to do a podcast? Can you talk to me a little bit about what led you down that path? And
Yeah. So Warrior Money on Yahoo Finance. It's my, it's the podcast that Patrick Murphy and I have. Patrick is a forever name in the veterans space. I know he's been on here a few times. He's been at the Legion conference for as long as I've known him. So, like, I know, and actually, I was on this organization called Task Force Movement, which is when I spoke to Ashley last, when I was on this podcast a couple years ago. I think it was like last year sometime, he got a call from somebody being like, hey, Yahoo Finance wants to start these series, content creator series. They want to focus it on veterans. And so Patrick called me, and we started this thing, and there was no real topic. There was no real subject. It was just like, hey, we're going to start to talk about this. Because it's on Yahoo Finance, we started talking about personal finance. And then we started talking about mental health. And then we started talking about community, and we start talking about all the things that comprise what financial health looks like. And so that's what this Warrior Money has become.
That's pretty cool. And how long you
Oh,
been
you
at
asked me
it?
how I find time to do it. It's every Tuesday. It's every Tuesday for 1 hour in New York City. So I can every other Tuesday for 1 hour, and I leave from my house at 10:30 in the morning, and I'm home by 6. And I do 1 hour of taping every other Tuesday.
That's
And
interesting. So you got a lot of frequent flyers, is what you're saying.
That's
Flyer
fun.
a
miles,
lot of
right?
Amtrak miles. A
Okay.
lot of
Yeah.
Amtrak miles.
Got it.
But you can get work done on the Amtrak. You can get a lot done on the Amtrak.
The amount of music and ChatGPT and I've been doing on Amtrak is pretty unbelievable.
Are you having fun with it? Are you enjoying it?
What's this?
Are you having fun with it? Are you enjoying it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Where do you find time to write?
On the Amtrak.
Dude, do you want to know? Honestly, because I'm writing a podcast. I'm writing my Substack on Thursday. I do one every Thursday. It releases at 10 a.m.
Mhm.
And I've got multiple years worth of ideas that are kind of lined up for the next 3 years at least. I publish every Thursday at 10 a.m. That Thursday or Friday, I write a bunch of ideas down on a notepad,
Nice.
and then I notepad that and I put it in a ChatGPT. And because I've given ChatGPT every speech I've ever made, every paper I've ever written, everything I've ever done, I've already fed into ChatGPT. And so I can get a piece in my own language with my own voice done pretty quickly. And so that's what gives me the time and space to do it. But I also, Joe, like, I think very much so that in the world that we live in, where it's all about like likes and clicks and all that distraction nonsense, like, if you can figure out a way to ground yourself to actually do some writing, whether you use AI or not, you can figure out some time to do it and you prioritize it. What I found for myself is I'm just much more calm. I'm much calmer because of it.
Yes.
It's really, really good for me. So like,
I write
really good for me.
military sci-fi fiction, fantasy. So just doing that sort of stuff. It's good for me to force myself into an organization mindset. It seems like what you write, it's emphasizing patience, and it seems like a lot of what you're doing is thinking long term, and that's something that I think is hard for a lot of people to deal with and to focus on in this instant gratification culture that we're in right now, where even getting my kids to listen to something that I know they find interesting for more than a minute is very difficult. What do you say to leaders or citizens or really people to start building a mindset of thinking long term? We've got all this noise going on, I guess, for lack of a better term, and it's so many distractions. And I legitimately, I think this is the first generation where we can look back and go, these kids got it worse than us, and in a lot of ways. Now, I'm not talking about safety and of course they've got food on the table and I'm talking about just as far as developing and becoming a coherent, workable adult. It's they've got more against them than I think than we've ever had. We read the books that we had, and they've got access to literally anything. I've seen them enjoy a game and cut it off to find something better. It blows my mind. How do we fight this? How do we start thinking long term again? How do you do it?
That's a great question. It's probably my favorite question I've actually ever been asked, because nobody really has ever asked me that question before directly. I talk about it a lot. I have created, so I'm gonna give you a respectfully long answer because I think it's worth a long answer, and so you can cut this or whatever you need to do. But I couldn't figure out why I was getting panic attacks. Like, why was I getting like, I'm a dude. Like, why am I getting anxiety and panic attacks? And I got like 3 or 4 of them over the last probably decade. Like, it was like started in my 20s and then it kind of led into my 30s. And I was a history major, so my brain has always been oriented to, like, if you want to understand why something's happening, you got to look back at the history. Like, if I can tell you, I can do root cause analysis on pretty much anything and come to, like, there's a reason why this is happening. It's probably logical. Like, It may not seem logical, but there's a logic behind it, right? And so why am I getting panic attacks? What's the root cause of that? And it's the lack of control, and it's too much noise, chaos. That was the reason why I was getting my panic attacks, right? And that stemmed from fear. And so and then I looked at the events, like, what did I get panic attacks about? Well, I got a panic attack literally the day that Russia invaded Ukraine. That freaked me out. I got one when my wife was pregnant with our third, and there was a we witnessed a robbery at a Starbucks, and there was a gun involved, and I was freaking out because I was like, I watched my pregnant wife I was like, oh my God, this is scaring me. Yeah. Then I had another 2 or 3 that were just completely kind of random. So what I decided to do at that point in time was turn off the television, because I think TV is literally the worst. I think people that go on TV are not respectful to their audience because they're just spinning a story. I think that the charade that we saw yesterday in Quantico, Virginia, between the president and the Secretary of Defense, like, that was made for TV. That's just what that was. You could have done that as a memo. Like, you didn't have to do that.
Performative.
What's that?
It was performative.
Performative. I don't. Do I agree with the substance of it? Probably, yeah, some of it. But like, it was performance theater. And so, what I've started to do instead, to Joe, to your core of your question, for me to reduce my own internal noise, I had to start turning things off. And as I started deleting more things, I started deleting the television. I started deleting the things that were on my phone. I started deleting people out of my life that were creating too much noise and chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I started deleting a lot of things, just press and delete, right? And Control Alt Delete, Task Manager, get rid of it. And I started doing that pretty ruthlessly about 1.5 years ago. And now, literally, if it's not on my top 3 or 4 priorities to do every day, I don't do it. And if it's not written as part of my long-term plan, I don't do it either. And if it doesn't help Dan Kunze Enterprise, I really don't do it either. And Dan Kunze Enterprise has 5 different areas. And one of those areas is doing well and giving back to people. Like, charity is part of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like, if it doesn't fit within my lanes, I got to ask myself really clearly, why am I doing that? Because, like, I have a strategy. I got a plan. I need to adjust for things that come up last minute. So I can't load my day with 15 things, because if I do, I have no bandwidth. My wife calls me. She's like, hey, our kid's home from school sick. I can't, that just creates anxiety for multiple days, right? So I just pressed delete on everything, Joe, to be honest with you. But I think it started with me figuring out I had too much noise in my life and I had to slow things down.
Okay. I love your answer. It's very similar to what I did, but I wasn't as structured as you. I'm very much a throw things at the wall, but I immediately pick up when something sticks. That's just the kind of person I am. And so for me, what I did was a lot like what you did, but it was a simplification. I started looking at the things that take from me and looking at the things that I give. And I was like, if these things don't balance out, they're hurting me. Mm-hmm. And similar to what you did, I started sort of backing off of things that didn't give me joy or didn't fulfill me or didn't move me forward towards my goals. And so, yeah, I love what you just said, man. I mean, honestly, and I'm really happy. So let me ask you this one follow-up question. Did simplification and taking back some measure of control, and not in the kind of control that causes the stress, I'm talking about the kind of control where you realize that I can only control me. Did that help?
Oh my gosh, you have no idea. Like so I had I can't tell you the reasons why I had my final breakdown in February, panic attack in February. That's a personal thing, man.
Yeah.
But February was like a bad period of time for me.
Yeah.
And so after February, this past February, I had been gradually getting better, but I didn't make the decision to cut people off as quickly as I should have. I'd made all these different changes, but then I realized that I was keeping a few things lingering that I just didn't want to cut off.
Oh man.
And so once you make the ultimate decision to cut things off, things, people, opportunities, jobs, things that are no longer aligned to my baskets or my pillars or whatever you want to term for your structure. My life has been phenomenal. My marriage is better.
Oh
My
man,
relationship with my
that's
kids is
so
better.
good.
I work out I go for a walk every morning between
Yeah.
6 and 6:30. I walk for about an hour. I sometimes don't wear shoes just because I want to feel the ground. Like,
Yeah.
I go work out in my shed and I do my workout. And unlike when I was 25, I'm not trying to deadlift 600 pounds anymore. I'm just trying to live until I'm 95 years old and haunt my kids and their kids. Like, that's what I want to do. I want to live longer. So my workouts have been like, how do I lose weight? How do I reduce stress? How do I keep myself present for as long as I can? And so all of these different changes have done one thing, that's created a structure. And that structure has grounded me just the same way I loved in basic training. Like, I like, there's so much to be benefited from having that regiment, that like, there's so much to be benefited from it, that I almost forgot how much I enjoyed the structure and the rigor of things like basic training, where you had to wake up at a certain time, you had to get your workout done, because so much else is unpredictable. If you can just do the things that are required structurally, you have so much more time for life, and so much more time for everything else. So that's how I found it. And like, dude, honestly, I haven't felt quite as good as I've felt ever in my life, maybe since
Yeah,
I
that
was a
makes me feel so
since I was a
good,
little
man.
kid.
I'm so happy for you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's really good. It's really good, but it's really hard because so many people complain about their relationships or their jobs or the situations that they find themselves in. And most of it, I think, is an inertia. Like, I just don't want to have that difficult conversation, or I just don't want to make that difficult decision. And I totally appreciate that. I totally value that. But once you do and you're freer because of it, it only hurts for the moment that you're in. Like, it just hurts for the moment you're in.
Yeah. I mean, I ended up having to give up watching television for um health reasons, which seems really strange. And I didn't realize like how much time I was spending watching television. And listen, that was not a lot, but in my life, which is very hectic, it it turned out to be quite a bit. But in so having to give it up, I opened up so much more to other opportunities. Um,
Once you start seeing too that all the things that you're seeing in media, whether it's X or LinkedIn or Instagram, is all derived from a 30-second soundbite.
yeah,
That's all it is. It's derived from a reel on Instagram or whatever. It's derived from a very short snippet of a broader conversation. And all they do is cross-platform things, right? They want
yeah,
engagement here, they want engagement here, they want engagement here, right? Well, like, that's BS in my mind. Like, what I have to say is going to take longer than 30 seconds. And what I would hope you tell me is longer than 30 seconds. Like, I want to hear who you are, Stacey. I would love to know why you couldn't watch TV anymore for health reasons. Like, that'd be really, really interesting conversation. Like, my grandpapa used to not be able to eat broccoli, and that was like the thing that didn't make sense to me at all, because I was like, broccoli? It's like the healthiest food in the world, isn't it? Like,
I know, it was
you
crazy.
not eat
I
broccoli?
wish I liked
It's the
broccoli.
gas, Dan. It's the gas. That's the whole reason. His wife probably cut him off from the broccoli, and that was the reason.
That's also why she had to stop watching TV. Gas.
Yeah, pretty much the gas. No, my vision is going, and so it's just one of those things that really it stresses out my eyes. And I try to save my vision for moments like this when I do the podcast. So my screen time is limited to things that are meaningful. And that's how I've kind of, as you said, I've detoxed my life to, cutting out things that I felt were overcomplicating or stressing me out. Because I like you, Dan, was just like having so much anxiety about making sure these people are cared for, making sure that I said yes to these people. And I was a yes person, like to the detriment of my own health and my family and everything. So I love that you said that. I think there's absolute validity to everything that you're saying. And plus, I feel like there's so much negativity out there. I was just being like, when I did take a time to do a death scroll on social media, I was like negative, negative, angry, angry, negative, negative. I'm like, oh gosh, why do I even bother? So anyway, I don't anymore.
I think, to be honest with you, and Joe, I think this hints to your question. 3 little kids, all under the age of 10. They're gonna get flip phones. Like, we're gonna get to a place where, like, when I was 15, I had a little Nokia that played Snake. Like, these kids don't need all the compute power in the world in their pocket at 12 years old. Like,
I'm so sorry to jump in. I just want to back up your
please, come on.
question
We're
right
gonna-
here and just say I'm encouraging you to stick to that, because what happened with us is my kids were left out of everything because they didn't have access to texting and stuff like that. Figure out what the problem is that's going to isolate your children from other kids and solve that problem while still maintaining the flip phone thing. Because I'm telling you, it hurts them at this age. We no longer have control. It's at a point now where if the kids don't have a phone by the time they're 13 or 14, they don't have friends. I'm not joking. That's how bad it got.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend like I can fix all those human problems, but human problems are also human solutions. Like, there's got to be a way for us to have a family iPad where we can get where we can get people. There's got to be ways for us to do this. I don't know what those things are yet, but like, there has to be a way that it goes into one iPad or one Apple account. I don't know yet, but like, there has to be a way to do it where they don't have to have. There's got to be a way to do it. There's got to be a way to do it, and I don't know what it is yet. But I also believe, Joe, like, strongly believe kids have to get dirty, and they've got to play real sports with real people. And like, I love video games. I don't actually love video games. I lied. My son my son likes playing like video games, and I don't mind playing Madden with him or MLB with him. Like, that's cool. But like, he's got to go play wiffle ball with his buddies. Like, we've got to go out in the world and do that.
I agree. I agree. There's something missing. I always feel like, and I especially with my husband's kids, my stepkids, that social media is the antisocial network for our kids.
It breaks my soul when I see 12, 13, 14-year-old kids at the bus stop staring at their phones.
Well, they're sitting right next to each other, texting each other. That always was
as they idolize the 90s. That's what's blowing my mind. They're idolizing the 90s right now, but they refuse to.
And I think it's like, there was like our parents, the ones that allowed us to have cell phones when we were 14 and 15, right? Because I remember, Adam, you told me you're probably 2 years older than I am in school. Like, I remember when they used to cart in the class Apple on this like big old metal.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, my kid has an iPad in the second grade. You gave every kid in kindergarten a freaking iPad. Like, why would you do that? Like, stop giving them iPads. Give them paper and pencil and make them learn how to write. Like, stop. And I think we're all going through this kind of like, I think more and more of us that are of our generation are like, I'm totally fluent in most things. I've already told you I use ChatGPT a lot. Like, I'm cool with it, but I'm not cool with it replacing my real life.
True.
Dan, I wanted to shift gears a little bit and get your opinion on something else that you said before, and it's something that I happen to agree with. So I wanted to get your take on it, but it's veterans are uniquely positioned to help rebuild institutional trust in America. So there's a lot that you could even unpack there and tee it up for you. That lends to believe that there's not trust in the institutions within America. Then you could ask the question, how did those leaders, are they trying to gain our trust right now? Why is it failing? And, obviously I work in the veteran mental health space, kind of told you before the show started. So my focus, if I were going to say Adam Marr Enterprises, which, I don't have that moniker, but hey, maybe that's a good idea. It's focusing on going to the root cause of the problem of our community and our society, and thinking that if we can help people unlock and awaken to the process that you so eloquently, kind of walked us through on your own journey, and make that more palatable, to be able to understand from the time you're in service, to out of service, then maybe your cup might be a little bit more full, and you'll be able to take advantage of more of these programs that exist within organizations like the Legion or the veteran nonprofits that are coming up, or in your local community, right? I have a full cup, therefore I can pour out for others. And I think that when veterans are able to do that, because of who we are, where we come from, and how we lead with honor and distinction, that those characteristic traits will permeate through those leadership opportunities, those institutions that are. What do you think? Why is it veterans are the answer for that from your perspective, or a contributing factor?
I'm going to broaden the answer to that question and say, not just say veteran. I'm going to say anybody that serves the public or have served in a public organization before. So let me just, like, I believe veterans, yeah, and I'll go down that path in a second, but teachers, firefighters, police officers, people that like serve in public sort of roles, I think they're the quiet folks that we should be listening to more and more now. And I think, and I'm creating this expression, like, I believe, I fully believe that at some point in time, it's going to sway back to people that actually build things as opposed to consume them. And we've been a consumption economy for so long. We just consume more stuff, take more stuff, more debt, more blah, blah, blah. We've got to start creating things. We've got to start producing. And so I think that people that create, produce, do, those are the people we're going to start to listen to. We should listen to more and more. So that's my first comment. My second comment is, when I was at basic training, I went into was the gas chamber, right? The chamber where I like went in there. I didn't have my mask on. I couldn't breathe. It hurt. I put my mask on. I could breathe. It worked. Like, that is a trust movement to start learning that you can trust your gear, that you can start learning to trust the thing that provided to you. And then my comment earlier about like going into the motor pool and actually seeing how a motor pool works, like, that I think is, if you get to the lowest level and you start to see your community for what it is, and you start to see your motor pool for what it is, and you start to see your equipment for what it is, that I think is how we actually regain trust. And when I say regain trust in institutions, I mean, like, let's be honest, like 20 plus years of fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan for some sometimes unclear strategic mission set starts to erode a little bit of trust, even from the most patriotic people in America. Because we, like, for what? Well, what was that 20 years for, really? And I think, Adam, that starts to erode trust over time. And then also, like, I can't see people making so much more money yet. Like just taking money, like just doing things that are completely weird and making cash out of that, and not feel like somehow in here, we got to reshift that a little bit too. So I think veterans are uniquely situated to do this because we've been in public institutions before. We've had to work with people that we don't know, and we've had to trust equipment, and we've had to trust our government to a certain extent. So because of those reasons, we should be kind of leading our communities as well.
Well, I think it's such a great kind of walkthrough that you did there, and I love the part where, you know, kind of like getting down into the motor pool, out of the ivory tower, so to speak, down into the front lines, and then, you know, we need more doers, you know, out front, you know, kind of leading. I think one of the challenges is, unfortunately, the doers are out there doing. They're so busy and engaged, so it's like somehow activating them and giving them permission, right? And I think, like your Elon Musk example, like, great example. I can do it all. I don't ever sleep. I solve every problem, and I help the president win the election.
He's also autistic,
you know, so it's like, it's also kind of unhealthy in a lot of regards.
Yeah, but he's unbelievably uniquely wired for what he does. Like, I don't know if he's publicly autistic, but he's definitely wired differently than I am. And so, like, I just think, like, that's not the model I want to talk about, was at least the hustle culture, but it's certainly the model that I care about when we talk about, like, dude knows how a rocket works. Like, that's real. And so I got to know how a rocket works if I want to start talking about rockets.
Well, I mean, we're stuck in this world where people expect smart people to be perfect people. And I think that part of the problem also is that you've got brilliant people who have access to social media and used to, when you had a dumb thought, you call Adam, or I'll call you, and you're like, all right, that's cool, bro. And I agree with you, but you can't say this out loud.
Totally.
But I love talking to you, man, and we could do this forever, but I do want, well, we're getting close, man.
Oh my gosh.
We're getting close. But I don't want to cut you off, man. And so let me ask you this. Is there anything at all that we didn't bring up? Because we kind of danced all over the place and then we got kind of familiar and we got into personal stuff, which is my very favorite way to talk. I like being sincere. I like when you talk to me and when I talk to you, I like the opportunity that I could bust out crying if I really needed to. And that's my favorite way to talk. So I do want to give you an opportunity to bring anything up that we didn't touch on that you did want to touch on. I mean, and then of course plug the things that you're doing right now, because they're all important to you now. You've cut out the trash and now everything you're doing now's the good stuff.
I do 5 things. I do 5 buckets, 5 things. I have a job because I have to have a job. I make investments. I have a media entity that's like, that does I do all my writing, all that stuff in there. So I have a job, I make investments, I have a media entity, I do the Yahoo Finance thing, and I coach Little League, and I play men's baseball.
Nice.
And like that is the 5th bucket is my civic bucket. I'm also running for borough council for my local politics, because like that 5th bucket, Adam, I think is how we get back to trusting America again, with where we have the right sorts of people that are leading.
Mm-hmm.
So that 5th bucket's my civic bucket, and I think it starts like by coaching baseball again, and like not like it's for Christ's sake, it starts with mowing your own damn grass. Like for so many years we talked about like, let's outsource the lawnmower, the landscaper. Like, what sort of life are you living if you can't cut your own grass? Like why like
One of your kids' teams, right? You're gonna coach one of your kids' teams, right?
Especially with like
you're gonna coach
Spotify
one of your
or
kids'
whatever.
teams?
Dude, I love it. I coach my 8-year-old's baseball team.
So think about that. You like we're talking the breadth and the depth of your 5 buckets and your experiences and your military service, and now you're going to have the opportunity to go not just be there for your son, which by the way is like top. You're going to get to also pour into those kids in some way, shape, or form.
Totally.
A little bit of discipline, a little bit of rigor. That is the next generation of these trusted servant leaders, and so I think that's probably the coolest thing that you're doing, because I think sometimes we lose track of that. Elon Musk, right? Like being there for those type of things can just be as impactful on a longer generational run.
I agree.
I literally could not agree with you more. If you saw my Instagram, it's mostly me playing baseball or coaching baseball. Last night, Mike Schmidt, Hall of Fame baseball player for the Philadelphia Phillies, umpired an intramural men's league game that I played last night.
Yes.
I play on this team called the Malvern Kings. I live in Malvern, Pennsylvania, and we had 30 dudes, Mike Schmidt umpiring. We had 150 people watching. All of our kids were there. It was a Tuesday night at 4:30. It was awesome. But I'm gonna give you a quick example, because your first question was about, my first question was when I got out of the military, and I made the comment of basic training. Monday nights are when my son has his baseball practice. 8 years old, his nervous system's not ready yet. He's a little kid, right? And I run them through high volume ground balls, because like I don't care about an error. It doesn't matter to me. Like just get through the reps and do as many reps as you can. I didn't see the play, but he made an error. And when he made the error, he threw his glove on the ground. And I got drill sergeant stern with him from across the field. And I raised my voice the way that my drill sergeant raised his voice. And I told him that he has to go sit on the bench, because we will not tolerate glove throwing around here, in front of the whole team.
That's right.
And I didn't humiliate him. I didn't make him feel bad. I just said, you got to go sit on the bench. You got to cool yourself and let me know when you're ready to rejoin the team. And the entire team, all these 6, 7, 8-year-old boys, I literally didn't think about it. I just channeled Ray Colazzo from Bronx when I was like saying these things, Sergeant Colazzo. And my voice just got up here, and all these boys just kept on practicing. The practice got so crisp. If I'm willing to correct my son I don't care about an error. To your point on perfection, or somebody's point on perfection, error does not bother me. The fact that you threw the glove that I paid for, that bothers me. And so we're going to make you sit for the glove throwing. And then when you're ready to rejoin the team, we're going to go do it. So I couldn't agree with you more, but I'll also tell you, 10 or 11 other little boys saw somebody correct their son, not playing daddy ball, not some other nonsense, like I wouldn't say hard or harsh, but firmly correcting a boy. I think we need to do a lot more of that. But I wasn't mean or mean spirited. It was just very matter of fact.
Yeah. I can appreciate that, and it's progress, not perfection. That's always been my mantra, is you can get ate up, But I think you're absolutely right, and Adam is absolutely right as well. That Dan, one of the best things that you're doing in your life is mentoring young men who are going to grow up and run this country one day. So
I
that
agree.
makes a
I
difference.
agree. And that actually, like, that could get me emotional, because I, like, to go to your point, I really believe that. And, like, again, what's the point of living your life if you're so damn busy that you can't coach your kid's baseball team,
Sure.
Yeah.
or
Sure.
Well said.
name the thing, right? If name whatever gives you joy. If you can't do that, I don't understand what you're doing.
I
Mhm.
almost ended up having to coach my son's soccer team. I can't run. I have one leg and my ankle's fused. And like, I was like, listen, I was willing to do it, except for the fact that we would have been the laughing stock. It also would have been like, if we were a good team, that would be one thing, but we were also awful. And they were like, well, of course, they've got a one-legged guy teaching them soccer who never played.
Which would be the handicap. I would argue, Joe, you could come up with a million fun stories as to how you lost your leg playing soccer, but
That's so good.
Oh my
dude.
god, that'd be hilarious. That's actually hilarious. The peg leg soccer team.
Dude, well, my whole thing with this was that nobody would step up, and as a military person, that really cracks my damn egg.
Dude,
Somebody
yeah,
step
bro.
up. I am not fit for this, but I'm not going to let these kids suffer and not have a team because we don't have a coach. So if they're going to have what's bad is, like, probably would have done I'll shut up.
No, it's all good, man. I just don't. I truly don't understand. I truly don't understand. Maybe I'm a little privileged. Maybe I've got a good job or whatever. And you're not. I'm exhausted. But, like, if you're so busy between all your kids' sports and all the shit you have on your plate, to be able to not be able to coach or enjoy stuff like that, something about that feels off to me.
Mhm.
And that is what I violently made sure that I was able to cut things away so that I could have the bandwidth to do the things I think really matter.
Yeah. Alphas, that's some really great feedback from our friend Dan. So check out your lives and see what you can cut from your lives to make more time for the things that matter most. In the meantime, make sure to tune into Warrior Money wherever you listen to your podcast, because you don't want to miss out any more of what Dan has to say. And I'd like to ask Dan to come back on the show, because I've really, really loved chatting with you today, Dan.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and we didn't get enough. And I'm serious. I really would like to have you come back. I want more of this.
Love it. And I'm just gonna say, and I know you're trying to get me off here. I am not a perfect person by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not trying to project being perfect at all. I just know that if you don't have the time to do what actually matters to you, you got to figure out how to create. You can't get more time, so you got to figure out how to create the time you already have. And, like, that just means you have to be pretty ruthless on what you get rid of.
Wonderful words of wisdom. Alphas, stick around for some scuttlebutt after the break.
Hi, my name is Bill Clancy. I'm the National Commander of the Sons of the American Legion. I'm thrilled that the American Legion family has created the USA 250 Challenge. During my year as National Commander of the Sons of the American Legion, I've made a personal goal to complete the challenge. Not one category, not two, all three categories. But today, I want to talk to you about the Physical Activity Challenge. You don't have to run or ride a bike or do anything strenuous. You can if you want to, of course, but the beauty of the USA 250 Challenge is that anything fitness-related counts. You can play pickleball, you can walk the dog, you can do chair yoga. Whatever you choose to do, be sure to join the challenge. Visit legion.org/USA250 to get started.
Okay, Alphas, we hope that you had a great break, and now it's time for my favorite, Scuttle Booty.
We love that scuttlebutt.
I do love butts.
Okay, so are you or a veteran you know struggling to find meaningful employment? Perhaps you've just transitioned out of the service and aren't sure where to proceed for proper employment, or not proper employment, but any employment. Or maybe you're a VSO who's helping veterans try to find their way. My little scuttlebutt segment should be of interest to all of you who are saying, yes, that's me. Anyway, Recent veteran employment news from September 2025 highlights that the Department of Labor's recent grant awards, the VA's new MOS military skills translator tool, and the ongoing need for better public and private partnerships translate to military skills into civilian opportunities, have enhanced veteran employment. And so the VA's new MOS translator, and for all you non-Army folks, the MOS is basically your military occupation. They have a new translator, and they've dubbed it Bridge My Return, BMR, and it captures your military skills, and the software basically translates those skills into civilian skills using AI and proprietary algorithms, and then it matches those veterans to jobs. So it's bringing veterans who have basically a resume full of military jargon, translates that, and then it matches them to civilian jobs out in the workforce. And from what I've read, the process takes about 20 minutes. The application also automatically produces a professional resume from the completed profile. So that's very advantageous as well.
That's massive.
And candidates can apply to be matched with jobs that interest them with a single click. So all at that no cost, military members in the community, including spouses and caregivers, they can all get started today if you visit bridgemyreturn.com. We'll have that in the show notes. Again, bridgemyreturn.com. And you can find new or better work from employers at no cost. And again, P.S., employers who are interested in hiring military or veteran talent, you can also contact BMR and get your company listed with your openings. Okay, now let's talk about veteran unemployment. As of August 2025, veteran unemployment rates were about 3.1%, but challenges remain, particularly for post 9/11 veterans like Adam, Joe, and myself, and for those who are service-connected with disabilities. And some experts are calling for urgent reforms to include mandatory TAPS training changes. Yeah, I've attended TAPS, and it was malarkey. It was PowerPoint. It didn't help me at all. But here's some key statistics that I think are really important. So listen up, alphas. If women veterans, 4.4%. Male veterans, 2.9%. Veterans with no disabilities, about 3.0%. That's 3. VA's always got to put a 0 at the end. Veterans with disabilities, 5.7%. White veterans, 3.2%. Black veterans, 3.9%. And Hispanic, 2.9%. So you can see that some demographics vary a little bit more. And of course, women veterans is of interest to me because I fall into that category as well as disabled. So imagine if you're a minority woman disabled veteran, that's going to be even more complicated, which is why these tools are really, really important for everyone, regardless of what demographic you fall into. So some light in the unemployment darkness. The U.S. Department of Labor today announced the award of more than $37 million in grants to organizations that help veterans experiencing at-risk homelessness and help them find meaningful employment and assist them in overcoming barriers to transition back successfully into the workforce. You can actually find information about how to tap into these organizations that have been granted this money by visiting the Homeless Veterans Reintegration Program. We're going to have that link in the show notes as well if you're interested. 98 organizations in their second or third years in the program have been awarded the money. So you can find probably somewhere that's a nationally based organization or maybe even somebody that's in your region. These organizations provide participating veterans with occupational skills. They connect them with registered apprenticeships or other on-the-job training. They deliver job search and placement services. And through program services, veterans experiencing who are at risk of homelessness can learn occupational skills to participate in these apprenticeships as well. And they can receive job placement and assistance. They've included an application. We'll have the application link in our show notes. In addition, the American Legion has been on the forefront and the front lines of the veteran unemployment within our community by advocating for employment-focused legislation, hosting job fairs, providing workshops, and connecting veterans with job resources and retaining programs like VetTech and VRRAP to help them transition to civilian jobs. So be sure to check out your local American Legion for support. Get in touch with your VSO or go to legion.org for more information.
Just real quick on this one, I got so much to say, but I'll be brief. It was already a challenge to transition in our timelines. You know, when we got out 10, 15, 20 years ago, the world is transforming so fast. The
Yeah.
job climate is transforming so fast. The conversations about repetitive tasks, you know, it's like what happened with manufacturing in the industrial revolution 150 years ago. And now we're on the precipice of the AI, and there's going to be a huge, massive shift, and it's already, you know, happening. So this is so important. It couldn't be more important. I think what you're seeing is like systems everywhere are just desperate for innovation and updating to be able to apply to just the current state that we're in. And so opportunities to not just seek a job, not just some of these tools that are coming on to be able to do a direct assessment and try and translate that out into the market. Really cool to see these innovations. I think it's also more personal than that into, you know, what are your likes and interests, and how do you go from this, you know, military mission and MOS into transforming in who you're going to become. And part of that is just permission to grow as you enter into that. And so it's great to see some of these innovations coming in. I think there's a lot more work to do. There's a lot more innovation that can happen. But it's going to be an interesting time in the next 10 years or so. But I don't think anybody's more ready to adapt to those changes and to be an agent of change than somebody who's been in the military. So
Yeah.
thanks, Stacy.
And I think, I'm sorry, go ahead, finish what you.
Oh, that was it.
I was just gonna make fun of you. No, not really. I wanted to interrupt you to to say some really mean things about you. Now I just want to say, no matter whether you think you're happy in your job or whether you're not even looking to work, I think it's a really good idea to do something like go to bridgemyreturn.com and just see what's out there.
Right.
I mean, unfortunately, this is no longer a world where working for the same company for 20 years is going to make you the most money.
Well, sometimes it's not even about the money either. It's
Yeah.
about fulfillment. And if you who are
Exactly.
you making six figures and miserable and not having enough time with your family? And if it's time to make a change, then as you said, Joe, what's the worst that can happen? You go throw your name out there and your skills and scramble it up, and you never know what might pop out. It might be something
Yeah.
super exciting.
Yeah, it could be something really fulfilling, because as somebody who works with veterans, all three of us, there's no fulfillment quite like it.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of
It feels,
fulfillment, it's also National Pumpkin Cheesecake Day.
Heck yes.
Now, if that's not fulfilling, I don't know what is. So it's
yeah.
a perfect excuse to indulge in the rich, creamy flavors that define the season. I know you've already probably had about 20 pumpkin spice lattes so far, Joe.
I may have, but I drink it in protein. Sorry, go ahead.
Ew. Oh,
I'm
wow.
basic. What can I say?
I'll have you know, are genuinely American. So one might say we're also celebrating our history by eating and drinking these tasty treats. That's right. Pumpkins originated in North America. Take that, Europe. With the
So if people don't like them, does that mean that they're?
Well, corn did too. Corn's a very American thing. It originated here.
I think it's called Mesa.
It's corn.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right, Joe.
With the earliest evidence of domestication dating back to between 7,000 and 5,500 BCE, these early squash, which are technically a fruit, by the way, were vital to Native American culture, serving as food staple and for other uses. Every year, the U.S. produces 1.5 billion, that's 1.5 billion pounds of pumpkin. 80% of this crop, around 800 million pumpkins, are ripe for picking in one single month of the year, October. In addition to pumpkins' historical role in fall celebrations, they have a multifaceted history with the U.S. military, featuring as both a food source for starving soldiers during the Revolutionary War and the namesake for the pumpkin bomb, a non-nuclear munition used in World War II testing in combat. During the harsh winter at Valley Forge, soldiers like Joseph Plum Martin consumed pumpkins for sustenance, even cooking half a small pumpkin on a hot rock when rations were scarce. Plus, with barley malt scarce during the colonial period, some, including George Washington, experimented with brewing beer using pumpkins, which have fermentable sugars. And while pumpkins were a food source, the tradition of carving jack-o'-lanterns for Halloween had not yet been fully established during the Revolution. The practice was brought over by Irish immigrants who traditionally carved them from turnips.
I think carving a turnip would be difficult. I mean, that's like people who chisel sculptures out of toothpicks, you know what I mean? like a toothpick whittler.
The center
That's
would have to
hard.
be at least 3 times this size. During the Civil War, pumpkins became political symbols, with Northern abolitionists using pumpkin pie to represent Northern values, and Yankee culture. After the war, many Southern states, which did not traditionally eat pumpkin pie, resisted it, and Thanksgiving as an unwelcome imposition of Northern culture.
Damn Yankees and
I'm
their
still
Thanksgiving.
resisting pumpkin pie. It's not my thing. I like pumpkin spice.
I prefer pecan pie over
Yeah.
pumpkin pie.
The pumpkin did eventually spread across the country. During World War I, bakers and cooks were recruited who used the Army manual for cooking, including a recipe that made 15 pumpkin pies. During World War II, dehydrated pumpkins were also produced for military rations. However, it was not always well received. One U.S. Navy account from the Pacific mentions a dehydrated orange item, alternately billed as pumpkin or sweet potato, not sure.
What is this mystery orange thing?
It is orange. One
It's
can only
not a
speculate.
tangerine.
That was unpopular and difficult to prepare. Meanwhile, back in the U.S., Americans grew victory gardens to supplement their grocery rations. Pennsylvania's The Victory Garden Handbook from 1944 recommended growing and eating pumpkins for their nutritional value. In 1966, Seabees with the Mobile Construction Battalion 7 stationed at Fubai constructed a large, elaborate great pumpkin out of a salvaged orange parachute and rebar. Inspired by popular television special It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, the structure was created to boost morale. And for American POWs in North Vietnam, food was often inadequate and monotonous. Diets were typically limited to thin cabbage or pumpkin soup, along with rice, bread, and poor quality of meat.
Well,
During
let's
the,
add the pumpkin. Sounds delightful.
during the Gulf War, Canadian sailors flew a massive carved pumpkin in a helicopter over Allied ships to boost morale around Halloween. And in Afghanistan, troops created a machine to throw pumpkins as morale activity during downtime. I like the progression of like what's going on with the pumpkins.
This is what we're gonna do.
Let's make the Charlie Brown pumpkin. Let's throw those suckers and watch them explode.
Let instead of a potato gun, we need to make a pumpkin launcher.
You know what?
Right.
How can we make it explode on a high def slow motion camera? All right, Alphas, if you're planning a Halloween party or a fall brunch, try dishing up some pumpkin cheesecake along with a healthy serving of fun military pumpkin history.
Thanks, Adam. That was fun. What you got, Joe?
Hey,
Joe is muted like it's 2020 and I'm just learning how to do this stuff. I do have a question though. As somebody who doesn't drink, there has to be a reason why pumpkin beer is not a thing, but I am interested in what
That's
that
not
tastes
true.
like.
Pumpkin beer
They
is
make
a
it.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, I know it is a thing. I'm saying why it's not like way more of a thing. I'm wondering what the taste is that makes it where you don't just go into a restaurant and be like, hey, do you have any pumpkin beer?
It's
I
seasonal.
guess it's like a pumpkin latte. It's an acquired taste. You either like it or you don't.
I think they just
Yeah.
do it around in the fall. You get the pumpkin.
Yeah, you're right.
Things
Yeah,
coming out.
seasonal.
Oktoberfest kind of vibes.
Mm-hmm.
We should bring pumpkins to the Army Navy game and throw them at each other. Anyway,
Make sure they're rotten though.
well, yeah,
I'm
they will be by
bringing my
then.
sweet potatoes.
Sweet potato.
Dehydrate
Shut
some
your
orange
mouth.
stuff and do a taste test. What do you think it is?
Blindfold taste test on
Is it apricot or pumpkin?
rotten pumpkin or
We should have
rotten
like a little
apricot.
shtick we do with every guest, and we'll figure it out.
What you got, Joe?
Well, as Halloween creeps closer, Stacy, I thought I would share some regionally fun seasonal activity opportunities for you. My most favorite listeners, my alphas. For all the alphas in Milford, American Legion Post 216 and post 484 in Hickory Corners. And everyone in between, grab up your kids, grandkids, besties, because here's some local fun for you. The Long Family Orchard and Farm in Commerce Township, Michigan, has a 5-acre corn maze. There's still people missing from last year.
The children of the
Depicting
corn.
Detroit Lions wide receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown performing his viral headstand touchdown celebration. I was at the game actually in Green Bay, so I got to see that firsthand. I saw the whole thing go viral. Bobby Long, 23, of Long Family Orchard and Farm. Long said he and his brother Will came up with the idea of immortalizing the headstand in a corn maze form in January and began work on it in July.
That's a lot of work. July, and it's October.
To
That's a lot of
meme
work.
a corn maze? Yeah, this is a lot of work.
You get the vision. You got to build it.
That's true.
Let's see,
Build it
how
and they
can
will
we-
come.
How can we capture as many children as possible? Let's make
Capture
the most
children.
elaborate corn maze.
Could you imagine like the articles like Detroit Lions wide receiver has dozens of children lost like, due to
They got lost somewhere in the pads region
in the vicinity of
Upside Down.
Amon-Ra St. Brown. So we do a special corn maze every year, and with the Lions being so awesome, and with they're not biased, and with everything Amon-Ra has done for the city, our state, and the fans, we wanted to give something back to him to enjoy too. Long said, fans are now being invited to attempt to find their way through the corn maze with vicious consequences. Otherwise, it doesn't say that. I mean, I added that in.
Just being hyperbolic, alphas. There's nothing to be scared of.
On Saturdays and Sundays. While there, you can take advantage of the Hayride Paintball Zone, Giant Hill Slide, Pedal Cart Racetrack, Straw Maze, Petting Farm, Picnic Area, and more. Like an apple cannon.
We're going to convince
Yes.
them to make pumpkin cannons after
We're
this.
going to talk to them about this. We're going to reach out. An apple cannon, though. They've got a pick your own pumpkin patch, too. So here are other Halloween extravaganzas hosted by the American Legion Post across the country. So Long Islanders, Huntington Post 360 is hosting a costume dance party on the 17th of October. The good folks at Marne Post 13 in Plainfield, Illinois are asking you to dust off your favorite costume, bring your spookiest spirit, and make it a night to remember with them on the 25th. Post 410 in Lake Hills, Texas is hosting a family-friendly Halloween party on Thursday, October 31st with a costume contest monster dance party. Side note, did you know Elmo was a monster? Pumpkin painting and trunk or treat. All ages welcome, except for babies. Don't bring your babies and try and get candy from me.
Dang it, that's the worst.
There's a spectacular Halloween ball taking place at Post 290 in Cambridge, Minnesota on Friday, October 31st, 2025. It'll be an evening of fun and fundraising at the Armed Services Reserve Community Center, where you can dance the night away, enjoy delicious treats, and participate in their costume contest. And not to be outdone, Kreisel Jacobson Post 560 in Zimmerman, Minnesota is also hosting a Halloween costume bash with a live band providing groovy tunes.
Sounds groovy.
TBH Post 187 in Elmhurst, Illinois Illinois for
Illinois.
locals.
Illinois.
Illinois. Oh, I like that one. I'm going to start saying that one. Elmhurst, Illinois is hosting classic rock cover band Flash Baxter. The band will play tunes from the 1950s through the 80s during their Halloween party on Friday, October 31st. For all you alphas in the London, Kentucky area, my mom's out that way. Mary Gentry Post 16 is hosting a 2025 Halloween Glow Party killer music costume competition with a $200 cash prize. You don't tell vets there's $200 on the line.
Get it.
You're going to get people from all over the U.S. They'll spend $500 to win $200.
That's right.
We would. We're very competitive. And
Very.
Glow Gear Dance Floor Fun. Cedarburg Post 288 in Wisconsin is hosting a Boogie with a Ghost in Ghoulies on Halloween night. They'll have music by Jerry and the Fog. And do not forget your costume, alphas. We got
That
links
sounds
to all
like a
that
lot of fun.
stuff. It's a lot of fun. It's too much fun for some.
Well, and if you're not, if Joe didn't mention any of the legions that are in your area, just do a simple Google search for your local Legion post. I'm sure they've probably got some Halloween extravaganza going on.
Yeah,
This is
look at the
very funny.
Googler.
It's always fun when
Look it up.
Halloween falls on
Look
a
up, you
Friday.
Googlers.
Yeah, that's good for the kids. Because
All
All
right.
right, alphas. Get your trick-or-treaters by the hands. Do some trunk or treating with Adam. And we'll see you. Thanks for listening. Hey, don't forget, I forgot to mention this. We're on Spotify now.
Yes.
Which means you can find our audio and our video versions of this podcast. You can subscribe to us. You can leave your comments. Most importantly, you need to rate us because we need like the maximum number of stars.
Yeah.
I need all the
Which
stars.
is like 14, I think. It goes up to 14.
If you don't use Spotify, I don't care. Get on Spotify and rate us anyway. But you can also find us on Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our newsletter, or you can send us mail and guest recommendations at legion.org/Tango Alpha Lima. Happy Halloween!
We'll see you next time.
Bye.